Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner and welcome to Selling Power TV. Today we continue our conversation with Noam Bihar. He's the CEO of the Sales Readiness Group. Welcome back.
Gerhard, great to be back today.
So yesterday we talked about managing conversations, and we also said that we want to lead a conversation to value. How do we sell value?
So I think that there's not a sales professional out there that doesn't want to sell value. I mean, when you think about it intrinsically, we always want to sell value. There's no one out there that I think really intentionally wants to sell on price. The problem is they don't have the skills to sell on value. They may not even have a full understanding of what value is. So absent that, if they're working with a procurement department or they're working with a professional buyer, they end up selling on price when they really, with the right skills and the right planning, would have had to sell on price.
So how do you lead the customer to a value-focused conversation?
So I think the way you lead the customer is the first thing you have to do is a lot of research and really figure out in that company what are the key business initiatives, who are the key stakeholders, who are the users, who are the influencers, and you start to map an organization because you may find that different constituents have different values. And so you want to think about what's the total benefit you can provide to the customer. And we think about value very simply. Value is the total benefit you offer minus the cost to the customer. So obviously as a sales professional, you want to get as many benefits on your side as possible to reduce the temptation to sell on price.
So let's assume we are in front of the number one decision maker, and you want to extract from that person what they value. How do you go about that?
So, Gerhard, I think this is going to be a really important initiative within your company. I'd really like to understand what's most important to you. When you think about success 3 years from now, what are the things you're really going to reflect on that are going to say whether this was a successful software implementation or project or whatever? So get the customer kind of forward-looking so they can think about the total cost of ownership.
So then things will come up like systems integration, IT issues, or service levels.
Sure, and you may have to lead. The key decision maker may be at such a high level that you may have to say, when we talk to your user groups, here's what they shared with us. They really need reliability. When we talk to some of the key stakeholders, what they really wanted was great analytics. So you can start to lead the decision maker in that direction by kind of sharing what you learned from other key stakeholders. Because at the time, if you think about this cost-benefit relationship, again, it's to your benefit to have as many total benefits and to quantify those for the customer.
So what if you're in a situation where the customer is not well equipped, doesn't understand or doesn't appreciate the value that your company has to offer?
I think that probably there was some mistake that was made earlier on in the sales process. I think that you have to be able to present value. So what you want to make sure is when you're meeting with that key decision maker that you've got that teed up in a very organized way, say, here's all the things that we heard that are important to your organization. So I think kind of confirming understanding that these things are important and then being able to quantify them so that they have value is really important. Again, the key decision maker may be removed from a lot of the day-to-day benefits associated with your product or solution.
And you're saying if you don't go through that process, then the buyer is going to flip it over and talk about price.
Absolutely. What else, that's really the natural evolution of the sales process is they can only value what they know how to value. So if they don't have things to value, they're going to resort to price.
What about the cost side? How do you deal with that?
Gerhard, that's a great question because I think as a sales professional, you always think about all the benefits, but you don't necessarily reflect on all the costs. So when salespeople think about costs, they often think about price themselves. But for example, if you went through an SFA implementation, so you put in a Salesforce automation system, and someone offered you $1 less per user on the subscription, you may not change. You have switching costs, you have training costs, you have implementation costs. So a sales professional who's really done their research really thinks through not only the benefits, but also the costs, because the customer may not share with you what all the costs are. In other words, salesperson could go back to their manager and say, I offered them a lower price and they didn't say yes because they didn't really understand the hidden costs that are important to the customer. So again, I think you have to be intellectually honest and say, okay, what are all the benefits we bring to the table? You also have to have a realistic understanding of all the costs involved.
Well, thank you, Noam. Can you summarize the 3 must-do things if you want to sell value?
If you want to sell value, you need to be prepared. So you have to do great research and you really have to map an organization and talk to key constituents. You really have to understand what value means, which is the total benefits you bring minus the cost of the customer. And then you need to present those benefits in a very compelling way where you've established the value so you don't end up selling on price.
Well, thank you, Noam. For anybody who would like to get more information, go to salesreadinessgroup.com. Thank you, Noam.
Gerhard, thank you.